there is a momentum, a current that brought you and I and Simon Rita to this moment. Of all the things we could do in this moment, we chose to be here. I invite you to, almost like as if you could turn around inside, to be curious about what was it that moved me to this moment. And I invite you to explore this as a felt sense. Some of us will use the word, there was a longing that brought me here. A desire. I want to learn. I want to take my seat. All of those are words that point to a movement, a momentum. I call it the current of evolution. Yeah, that you are moved to a growing edge. And that movement is the same movement that presses a sprout out of the seed. There's a movement that presses the sprout into the unknown, into the dark soil, and it begins to reach up into not knowing anything. It's just that sense of the sun, the sense of the light. And it is moved by a desire to become, to bloom. And we are all made of that. That which is happening in that seed and sprout is nothing different than your desire to give your gifts to the world, to gather women together. It's the current of evolution. And when we learn to stay in the sometimes vulnerable and uncomfortable place of longing, of staying intimate with that current, to kind of stay in the unknown, to not check out because we don't know all the steps, but to trust that this longing carries within it the information I need in order to manifest my longing into physical form. Then we are riding on a rhythm that is already happening. It's a different paradigm than this kind of abstract patriarchal paradigm about doing your work and doing all of it, which is somehow uprooted from that momentum. Yeah, because, of course, the nature of this momentum is that it moves in the cycles of activity rooted out of rest. It includes creation and destruction. All of this is the body of the goddess herself. And most of us, as daughters of the patriarchy, we are trained in a different way of creating our work, which is very fixated on the doing part, doing. And of course, we live in the consequences of that paradigm. It's not sustainable. And then we gather together in circles where we have a free oasis to stand there at that edge of evolution, not knowing how it's going to look like, but with celebration and support from sisters, so that there is a chance for this that is trickling through us to come through our imperfect forms, so that something new can happen in this world. Yeah, if we all the time go to the known, or we all the time go to the next method, next thing, we will just keep recreating the same. So the Women's Temple is a very non-dogmatic place, because it's based in a fundamental trust in that wisdom that we are made of. And that each woman gets to be held in her messy, sometimes painful, sometimes ecstatic exploration of how the living spirit moves through her. So the role as us, as we take the facilitator seat, we are not coming with the answers. We are not coming with like, I have to fix you or heal you, or I have to do it. Like the role when you take the seat as facilitator of Women's Temple is more like a doula, like a birth helper. If a doula who's helping a woman giving birth goes in and kind of, the doula may have much more experience of giving, of supporting birth. So they may have a lot of information, a lot of advice. But the training, a doula training, when you're trained in the right way, you know that if you just hold safe space for this woman and not interfere with too much advice, not trying to fix her, you give her a chance to retrieve something she knows already, but she lives in a society that has stolen that knowing from her and put it somewhere else. So as a facilitator or temple, you are that birth helper. You just create that safe space. Of course, when you are doing deeper training, of course, you will have more skills of how you will have the practices, you will have the bigger picture insight. But if you go in and do it for her, then maybe they will adore you as a great leader and they will leave and think, oh, you are so great. But here our project is that they leave and they leave with a sense of, oh, I know how to hold myself. I know the union within me. And that, is an ongoing practice. It's not like a quick fix. This is why we are so passionate of creating these women's temple groups in homes and yoga studios, in community center, so that we have this. Is not only one retreat and then we go home, but we have this ongoing support and we have this free space where it can be really messy, where we can explore how it is to be big and wild, where we can explore like the deepest silence, where we can explore how, like in a direct and intimate way, how Goddess moves.